Oh, 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 it's Friday, the end of the week. What a relief, what a relief, what a release. Oh, oh, it's Mr. Anderson. Uh, I forgot about the interview.
Hello, Father.
Mr. Anderson,
Father,
it's good to see you.
it's a pleasure.
I talked to you day before yesterday on the telephone, but it's good to see you in person. Won't you step this way?
Thank you. After you. Father, as you know, I'm a newspaper reporter with the New York Star Telegram, and with your permission, I'd really like to do a newspaper article about you. At the staff, we truly find that you are truly interesting subject matter.
Well, thank you. Won't you step this way, please?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Want to sit down? Would you like a shot of whiskey? How about a cigar?
No, thank you.
Well, if you don't mind, I think I'll sit down. The kids wear me out at this time of the week, the end of the week. Oh. Mm. No, I tell you what. I called you here today because I want to have an interview. Based on what I said 2 days ago on the phone, I'll grant you the interview if you'll wait 2 weeks to publish it in the newspaper. Because you see, next week I go before the church in Boston. It's an inquest. They want to question me about 2 matters. So if you'll wait until the week after that to publish it, you got a deal. I'll give you the interview. It's a deal?
It's a deal.
Good. Good. Well, I don't know where to begin. I was born in Ireland, and my father was a country squire. And when I was a boy, my father sent me to the Ardmore School. The Ardmore School was a school for boys, a private Roman Catholic parochial school in Ireland. Yeah. When I graduated from the Ardmore School, my father sent me to Paris. He sent me to Paris to study world literature at the Sorbonne. I graduated with honors. When I left the Sorbonne, I got a job as a deep sea diver, diving for ancient and archaeological ruins off the coast of Turkey. Oh, it was the most exciting time of my life. Back in Paris, and speaking fluent French, I got a job with a newspaper, as a newspaper reporter. So you see, I did the same thing you're doing now before I became a priest. So I know all your problems. Oh, I would spend most of the year reporting the news, and for vacations, I would go to the Riviera. Ooh, the Riviera. Talk about wine, women, and song. At that time of my life. Oh, I tell you, I was known by women all the way from the coast of Normandy in the north to the Pyrenees in the south. I was quite a roué.
Yeah.
I've always loved women, but I can't have them because I'm a priest. And then I went home. I went back to Ireland. I went back to my father's manor house, and I would take long walks by the sea. And it was here that I felt that God was first talking to me. At first, I rejected God because I wanted to continue my debauched life. But after a while, God grew too strong for me, and I had to accept Him. And when I got it all worked out, logically and reasonably, I accepted God. I accepted God. I wanted to give God back something in return because He had given me back my life. So I told Him that I would give the rest of my life to the church. I would become a priest. That fall, I went to Dublin and I enrolled at a seminary. I graduated from the seminary and I was ordained a priest. Then the church sent me to Africa to be a missionary. I remember going up the river, deep up the river, to a little mission village deep in the heart of the Congo. It was there that I discovered that I had not yet conquered the sins of the flesh, because I had sexual relations with a young African girl in the village. It was hot and it was awful. I quickly prayed and God forgave me of my sin. But the priest who heard my confession never looked at me again as a complete priest or as a complete human being. It was hot. I was tense. I was miserable. I had to get out of there, so I requested a transfer. You see, I'd always had a passion for history. And when I got my degree, the church plopped me down here in rural Massachusetts to teach at the school behind us. It was very similar to the school I attended in Ireland as a boy. Well, once I got settled here, I began to write. And I've been here for 17 years. I teach in the daytime and write at night. I teach ancient history to 13, 14, and 15-year-old boys. And so I wrote a novel. I wrote the novel Cortez's Henchman. As you know, if you've read it, yes, it's the one about the Spaniard who goes along with Cortez in the 1500s to help him conquer Mexico. Yes. Well, I didn't think anything would come from it, and I sent the manuscript in, and lo and behold, they published it. And it was very successful. I asked the church how they felt about it, having a celebrity in their midst. And they told me that as long as I looked at it as good productive work, and as long as it did not interfere with church teaching, then they were fine with it. So I wrote another novel. I wrote My Cousin Elizabeth, The Mystery. And then I wrote The Devil and the Diva. And now I've written my latest novel. It's called The Same Thing. The Same Thing, yes. Well, much to my surprise, all four novels have become wild, international raging bestsellers. In my latest novel, The Same Thing, I have my leading character, the protagonist, being a scientist. And as a scientist, he's working on a problem involving dimension. And in the novel, my scientist says that when we die, information from our bodies goes into a different dimension. A dimension that is traveling at a different rate of speed than the rest of God's universe. And, well, scientific people would look at this from a scientific point of view, and religious people would look at it from a religious point of view. But my scientist says that it's the same thing.
I see.
Take the little ant, for example. The little ant has a brain that is too small, and it's not wired to accept the concept of 2 and 2 being 4. By the same token, our little brains are too small, and they're not wired to understand everything there is to know about God's wonderful creation. A fellow priest once said to me, "Banyan, faith is a substitute for what we don't know." To which I answered, yes, but what a beautiful substitute it is. And when we have faith, it's God talking to us in our little limited human brain, like the limited brain of a little ant. I have seen the Shroud of Turin. I've been there. I've seen it. As you may know, the Shroud of Turin is a cloth. It's a cloth that may hold the image of the face of Jesus. Carbon-14 tests dated back to about 2,000 years ago, about the time of Jesus. Many people feel that it was the cloth that was put over Jesus' face when they took him down from the cross and put him in the tomb. Early scientific analysis thought it might be the world's first accidental photograph. But recent scientific analysis has said that it's from an energy source that we don't know anything about. Next week, I go before the church. I go before the inquest. They want to question me about 2 matters. First, they want to question me about the philosophy behind my novel, The Same Thing. And then they want to question me about the They want to question me about a woman. You see, every Saturday for the last 2 years, I've gone over to the Widow Quinn's house to have tea. And recently I found that I'm madly in love with the Widow Quinn. I love her more than I love anything in the world. And she's in my brain, she's in my skin, she's in my heart. I can't live without the Widow Quinn, and I don't know what to do. You see, I've always been the kind of person who goes ahead and does what I want to do, and then I'll work it out with God later. But I could do one of 2 things. Next week, when I go to the inquest, I could tell him, before it really gets started, that I want to retire. And then when that matter's settled, I could tell him that I want to leave the priesthood. Or I could do something else. I could stick it out right where I am and just tough it out. And I can do that. But I don't know. I have to decide within the week. I'm so glad you came today.
I'll contact you in 2 weeks, Father.
Did you park your car around the corner? Oh, all right. Well, I'll walk you part of the way, but you know, the kids weigh me down so it's the end of the week, so I can only walk so far at my age. Well, it's been my pleasure, and I hope to see you. I'll contact you, let's see, the week after next.
That sounds good, sir. Thank you, and again, thank you very much, sir.
God bless you, Mr.